Hi there, everybody. Well, I haven't done a lathe, or not lathe, shop walk around in a little bit. Thought I'd take you for a hike through. We've had a new machine arrive. I don't remember if I've mentioned this, but so yeah, we just picked this up the other day, Clausing Colchester 17-incher. I'm pretty excited about that. Now, I think I had mentioned before that this lathe, which is a Clausing Colchester 15-inch, belonged to a friend of mine, and that I was planning on buying it from him. Well, it was a turret model. It was missing the tailstock, and I've been trying to find a tailstock for it, but so far I've been unsuccessful at doing that. Anyways, but it was okay that it was here. He had it stored outdoors under a tarp, and it needed a home anyway, so it's been staying here, but I gradually got, I don't know, less enthusiastic about it, just gradually realizing that this is, an incremental improvement over what I had for a fair amount of work. So I was kind of questioning whether it was a great move. And then he had some other guys interested in it, and I'd said, you know what, if they want to buy it, buy it. So that is in the works, where it may be finding a new home soon. And in the meantime, this beastie came up available. Now, I went and looked at this and several other machines, I don't know, a few months back. What the deal was, is this was in a pretty elaborate home shop, but a home shop, set up in a guy's barn in his backyard. And he had an accidental fire in there, and it burned some stuff up in the front end of the shop. Now, the fire wasn't actually anywhere near the machines, but the result of it was soot damage, and then, of course, the fire department just hosed the living daylights out of everything. So, anyways, they wanted me to look at them, give them prices on the stuff. My friend Ed and I went over there. So anyways, long and short of that whole scenario was that we tried to give them some numbers on it, and they'd asked if I was interested in this machine, or at least Ed had. And I said, well, I was busy at the time. I was broke at the time. And I said, it'd have to be $2,000 before I would buy it. Well, anyway, here a couple weeks ago, got back in touch with me and said they were having trouble finding a home for this one, and $2,500 I could take it home with me. So that ended up being a number that I decided I could mess with it at. So I went and picked it up. Now, I'll try and, I didn't do any good pictures before we started cleaning, but you can see here's some of the lead screw that we haven't cleaned. That's pretty much what the entire machine looked like. Now, it did get hurt a bit. It's not terrible, but I mean, you can see like here in the bed, this is permanent. It's light pitting, but it's not going away. And it's never going to be, a beauty queen, but I think it'll work. The worst pitting in the bed is actually over here on the ways that the tailstock runs. And now those are some fairly deep pits, all those black spots, but the basic surface is intact, and I don't think it's going to affect its function. But so far, I've had a friend that's been helping me. I've been super busy, and he's been scrubbing on this thing, and he's got like probably 4 or 5 hours into Scotch-Brite and WD-40 and, just everything. You can see exactly how far the tailstock was sticking out. There's rust from there forward. The chuck was a mess. I had to fight with it a bit. We haven't even worked on the outside, but I finally got the jaws freed up and moving. And so anyways, we'll see. I've got a few things that are going to need addressing on it. Like, I don't know why, but previous owner was running it with no waste scrapers on there or wipers. Don't really understand that. And talked to Clausing. They wanted like $260 for the pieces of rubber and the little metal plates over them. So found aftermarket rubber parts for $35, and I'm just going to make my own covers. There's a few weird things like this. I don't know what's going on here. This one baffles me. This has obviously been TIG welded here, and I don't understand why. Like, it appears to work fine, so I'm not going to mess with it. So I don't know. I almost wonder if somebody made that part out of like a couple of other pieces and then TIGged them together, but why, I haven't got the foggiest idea. But anyways, though, she's going to be a beautiful addition to the shop. Here's the thing that really made me want this lathe. That right there. 3 1/8 inch hole or somewhere thereabouts to headstock. I mean, it's designed to clear a 3-inch bar, which is really impressive on a lathe this size. The only downside to that is that means that it is the D18 chuck mount, or D18 chuck mounting system, and the Lodge and Shipley over there, even though it's an inch bigger lathe, is only a D16 because it's got a smaller through hole. normally a D18 isn't on a lathe this size. This would be more like on a 20-inch or up, but they had to have that large of a mounting system to clear that big center hole. So, oh well, just means I can't interchange chucks. I'm going to have to find some more tooling. But on the plus side, it is running Morse Taper 5 in the tailstock, so that means any tooling that fits this also fits. That's Morse Taper 5 in the Lucas Model 41, and then Morse Taper 5 over there in the Lodge and Shipley. So that's really good because that means a lot of tool interchangeability. So anyway, so let's take a little walk around here and see what Wiggles is up to. What are you building, Wiggles?
I'm trying to take apart this speaker.
Oh, Wiggles is dismantling a speaker. Interesting stuff. Trying to get the magnet out of it. Oh, here's a new addition to the shop. New old addition. I just bought this last week. I had a job to do drilling holes in the I-beam in that 105-foot sailboat. I do own a Milwaukee mag drill, but I've got the motor on it mounted on my home-built portable line boring setup, and I really didn't feel like taking it apart just to go use it. And this was available. A guy mentioned it to me a year or so ago, and I decided to go back and buy it. It's quite the old horse. I think it might be more pony than what the Milwaukee mag drill is. But anyway, I don't think you guys have seen this. I bought this from a business that was shutting down right here in town, and it was an old Western Auto Parts, and this was their gasket shelf is what this was for. It had valve cover gaskets in it. But I gave them, I think it was $20 for this thing, and it's perfect for tooling. You see, I've got reamers and end mills, and we aren't even done filling it up yet. I got to have a stool to get at the top shelves. But anyhow, just to be able to lay stuff all out one layer deep and see what you're doing is pretty nice. A little funny because I wish they were a little bit further apart. So it's kind of a pain to get in there. I actually thought about, because it's all bolted together, taking this thing apart and reconfiguring it, but I decided I wasn't that ambitious and I'd just live with the tight space between the shelves. So, storage room, I don't think there's anything new and exciting to see in here. It's a disaster zone. I've been throwing stuff in. You can see the aisleways are kind of caving in around me. I'm not real proud of that fact, but we got to get in here one of these days and declutter this. There's a whole bunch of stuff that needs to get thrown away. It's one of them deals where we just moved everything when we came from the old shop and didn't bother to sort stuff much. Got the bolt bin set up there. That's going to be the metric bolts. So this is the big rush project we're working on right now. This just came in. They've got, this is for, I believe, a sand mining machine, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, long reach excavator. They've got a drag line on that job that's the primary machine. It's broke down, and then this excavator went down because of broke pins and bucket problems. So this is a replacement bucket, but it was too loose to just run. So I am hot-footing it, trying to get that back together for them so they can get back on the job. Haven't got any more done with the Kearney and Trekker 3CH. I've got the main motor rewired, but I haven't got the power feed motor, the coolant motor, or the rocking motor for the shifting reconfigured. Oh, here's another interesting little project that's in the process. So this is a flywheel off from a, what is that? Is that a, I gotta think here a minute now. It'll come to me. Anyway, it's a diesel engine. I think it's Komatsu is what it is. Komatsu diesel engine out of a medium, smaller size excavator. The excavator was junk, blew the tandem pump, had a gazillion hours on it, but they had just spent major money rebuilding this engine, so they'd saved it. Now they got a water pump they want to drive it with. This is the interesting. It's kind of a rubber flex center in this thing, but it's the drive coupling for that pump. So what we're doing is machining a recess into here to fit the ridge on this. Now, I had some, I don't know, back and forth in my head about whether it was the best to put this on the mill or put it in the lathe. I would normally consider this a lathe job, but it was a little big for me to grab with the chucks that I've got set up right now. And I just decided to do it this way. So what I did, by the way, to get this thing centered, just because I don't like having to screw around a whole bunch, I'd, in the past for a job, you can't really see it in there very well, but this is, I think, a Morse Taper 4 in the middle of this rotary table. I had taken a junk tool and nailed the end of it, popped it in there, and then interpolated around, not interpolating is the right term, but used the rotary table and cut a pilot on that thing, and I used it for a job I had to do where we made about 400 parts, and I needed a post to stick them over. So what I did is just quick machine myself up a bushing that fit on that, and it was tight in the center of this flywheel. So by doing that, I could drop the flywheel on there, know that it's dead centered, perfectly centered on the rotary table, and know that it can't shift, because one of the problems was getting a hold of this thing. You can see I've just got 2 3/8 bolts bolting this thing down to T-nuts on the table, and that would normally not even be close to sufficient, except that all they're really doing is keeping it down tight and keeping it from rotating, because this peg is keeping it from being able to shift off center. So anyhow, so yeah, we've done some rearranging. We've been using the Carlton 1A radial arm drill just constantly. That thing, I don't think hardly a day goes by without it getting used. I'm very much just as happy to have it as I thought I would be. I've long thought I needed one, and now I'm more convinced than ever. So the only thing it's had done to it is I was drilling with a big spade drill the other day, and it wasn't a good setup, and it was trying to shift around on me. But anyways, what that showed me is that the column clamp mechanism was not right in it. It wasn't tight. Just needed to be adjusted. So anyways, as I was drilling, you could see the thing shifting and swinging around on the column a bit. So I went ahead. It took me a bit to figure out this whole cam lock mechanism. It's quite the contraptions. This thing's got some kind of a hydraulic cylinder or a motor. I don't even know what in there. It's hydraulic. That's all I know for sure. But it drives a rack, and then there's a gear on that rack that drives this shaft, and then that comes down, and it's got a big eccentric ring down here with bearings on it that's pushing up against this set of adjusting screws. So this one is the backlash adjustment, that one's tightening adjustment. So I started playing with it because I couldn't find anything in the manual about how to adjust it. Anyways, what I discovered is that it's kind of fussy. I adjusted her up, you can hear the hydraulics kick in. It locks the thing in. Well, then what I found out is it's easier for it to cam over than it is for it to release, because it gets a run at it when it's trying to lock it, but then it's under tension. So anyway, I tripped the thermal breakers about 3 times trying to get it to unlock, and I finally put a big socket on the end of the bar with a wrench and helped it and unlocked it. And then I had to keep playing with it until I found that sweet spot where it locked up good and tight, but was still able to release. So it's another project we're about to get back to, my Shopmaster 300. That was my favorite welder, and the main board died when we transported it to this shop. It was working great in the other shop, and then something about the vibration and rattling on a, whatever it is, 25-year-old, 30-year-old welder, it just couldn't take it. So anyhow, that one's got to get sent off. I took it to Miller and had it diagnosed, but they couldn't, they don't supply the board anymore, didn't have any used ones, so found a place on the East Coast that will rebuild those boards. I just got to get it yanked and send it there. Anyway, I don't think there's a whole lot else going on here that you guys need to see, other than, I shot some video of it the other day. We'll see if I get it posted, but I did just do a job on a boring mill. That was, this is another part to that, the White Hawk, that big sailboat. I just had to machine these slots out a little bit more. So anyway, but the big news is Clausing Colchester 17-inch that my personal goal is to see this thing powered up and operational by the end of this next week, just as we got lots of stuff going on, and it'd be nice to be able to use it. So we'll see how that goes. I'll keep you posted.